for the papers now. Dipsy's here. She's starting here in France. Le Parisien is reporting on a complaint filed against food delivery giants Deliveroo and UberEats. What's this about?
Well, Le Parisien actually brings this exclusive report. Stuart, it's on their front page today here. It's a criminal complaint filed by 4 associations representing drivers who work, or riders who work for UberEats and Deliveroo, the food delivery services here in France. They accuse them essentially of human trafficking, and they want them to recognize that their working conditions are a form of exploitation. Now, it follows industrial action last year when food delivery riders went on strike to protest degraded working conditions, lowered salaries, unregulated working hours. There are an estimated 70,000 food delivery riders in France. Many of them are undocumented, Le Parisien says. According to a report by the NGO Médecins du Monde, some 68% of them do not have legal working papers. According to the same report, they work around 63 hours a week for just under 1,500 euros a month, making their hourly salary just under €6 an hour. That's far less than the €11.75 promised by Deliveroo and the €14 promised by UberEats minimum.
Yeah, incredible working hours, aren't they? Well, let's focus on Ukraine next. This is Le Monde. They've got a moving portrait about soldiers on the front lines increasingly finding religion.
Yeah, that's right. The French newspaper today features this story on its front page and talks about how priests are at the forefront of the war in many ways now. In its article, Le Monde explains that priests have become what they call the first witnesses to the hell that frontline soldiers are experiencing in Ukraine. Around 68% of Ukraine's population is religious, including 50% who are Orthodox. At the beginning of the war, there were only a handful of priests who mainly worked as civilian volunteers to bring solace to soldiers. And then in 2023, the government actually expanded the role of priests. They now have to sign a contract with the defense ministry in Ukraine, and they're considered soldiers even if they don't serve, fight, or use a weapon, Stuart.
I'm not sure about this next story, Dipti. It sounds like an end of April Fool to me. Time magazine talks about Ukraine's offer to rename part of the Donbas as Donnyland in a bid to pander to Donald Trump.
Well, Donnyland is reportedly inspired by Donbas, Disneyland, and Donald Trump. Right. And yeah, this is exactly what Time magazine says here. It actually cites a report by the New York Times earlier this week, which reported that Ukrainian officials actually floated the idea in a bid to get the Trump administration to take a hard line against Russia's territorial demands. It's believed that his soft approach to Russia and his hardline approach to Ukraine prompted them to think of the idea of a rename, maybe in a bid to pander to him. But Time magazine actually explains they're not the first to try and appeal to Donald Trump's megalomania. There was Poland's offer in 2018 of a permanent U.S. base in the country called Fort Trump. A year later, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, said he would rename a settlement in the Golan Heights to Trump Heights after Donald Trump recognized Israeli sovereignty there. In any case, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky didn't really comment on this, but he did reiterate his firmness that Donbas is Ukrainian and that it will never become, or that it should not become Putin land, he said.
Some AI articles in the press today. Dipsy's going to start with the New York Times. It looks at the rise of age tech in America.
Yeah, it's a booming sector. Age tech is basically technology, AI tools that can help carers in basically for senior citizens and retirees. Americans, like many populations, are living longer, and around 75% of those over the age of 50 surveyed in 2024, cited in this by the New York Times, say that they wish to spend their remaining years in the comfort of their own home. So this has really given rise to the budding field of age tech, technology aimed to support them in their own home or helping their carers. products could include, for instance, smart walkers, which are a mobility device that can brake and steer people away from roadside dangers. But there are also other devices like an AI-powered robot, which can remind users to take their pills, do automated checks on sleep, and even tell jokes, all this in a bid to fight against solitude, another scourge facing elderly population.
Why not indeed? He looks really cute, the dog, doesn't he? And finally, speaking of AI, Sony's AI robots called Ace is actually beaten elite table tennis players in what scientists are calling something of a landmark moment.
Well, as the Times of London tells us, the robot has learned to compete with and sometimes beat elite table tennis players. Now, Ace, as it's called, the robot, was built by Sony's AI researchers, and the whole idea was to sort of experiment with table tennis, which is known for its, quote, blistering pace and complex spin. Now, the physicality of table tennis was seen as a monumental challenge in terms of AI machines, which tend to excel at more cerebral games. So Sony says this breakthrough is pivotal. Let me see if I can show you a video. It shows that AI can operate at an expert human level, opening the door to a new class of real-world applications. However, when you see people cheering on the robot that's beating you, I'm not sure how you feel as an elite table tennis player.
Yeah, I'm not sure that robot could do the press review, so you're all right for the moment, Dipti.
Thank God.
But thank God. But, you never know. We'll all be replaced one day. Hopefully not. Dipti with the papers on France 24.